So, and then, so talking about features, there are ways that you can verify the authenticity, right? So if when we sell these coins, before it's received, we can verify the authenticity. Then the key way of verifying how authentic it is an application called VeriScan, okay, which is currently available on iOS platforms, that iPhones. Currently, it's not available on Android, but I know there's providers of that solution are also working on hopefully getting into Android because of the tight security features. As you know, iPhone tend to have more security as far as that is concerned. So I think this is an opportunity to also let your viewers know that it's going to be a very secure product. It will be very difficult to
clone it or something.
Because if you scan the coin, you can even tell the manufacturer of the coin. All of that is on, and that is not so visible if you just have a coin by itself. So the scanning process will let you authenticate it.
Is it open to or accessible to everyone, and how can an individual or someone who is interested in this particular good coin have one?
Okay, so currently it will be accessible to all residents in Ghana who have a banking relationship. The central bank is going to deploy this coin through our 23 banks, and then customers of these banks can go and purchase the coin from there after they've gone through the regular KYC, know your customer process that you do when you go to a bank. So you must have a relationship with a bank. And the reason why we want to do that is that we want to avoid people who are not supposed to have this coin to have it. Yeah. Like people, money launderers, and people who are involved in activities that we don't think are financially stable. We wouldn't want them to have the coin. So you must have a relationship with a bank, whether you are Ghanaian or not Ghanaian.
Now, in buying the coin, we understand that you are going to use the close date as the London bullion market.
The previous day.
Exactly, the previous day.
Yeah.
And that, I learned, will be quoted in dollars, right?
Yes.
So, and how is an individual going to buy the coin? Is it going to be in cedis or in dollars? And in terms of the exchange rate situation, how are investors supposed to, handle this? Okay,
so for residents in Ghana, everyone is supposed to buy the coin in cedis. But we want to promote the use of the cedis. It will be counterintuitive to ask people to buy this in dollars, because we want to encourage people who live in Ghana to use the cedis. So we buy at cedis, but at an identified exchange rate. The exchange rate we are going to use is the Bloomberg RG, and we call it RG, that's regional ticker mid rate.
Yeah.
So that's the exchange rate that we're going to use. So that one will be well known by the banks. So the pricing framework is very transparent. We know it's going to be London bullion market, previous day closing, and the day of the transaction, the Bloomberg mid rate will be used. So you do the conversion, and then you have a price. But like I said, there are going to be some other charges, so that we can cover our costs there.
Now, you speak of charges. Now, I'm concerned about the 23 dealer banks coming on board.
Yeah.
How are they also going to benefit from this sort of transactional, commercial, engagement?
So that's a very good question. Banks will not do things for free.
Yeah.
So we're going to agree on a framework with them so that they will charge something small.
Yeah.
But we don't want people to be exploited here. So we agree on the framework. Maybe some small percentage, something very small, so that it will cost them to provide this solution. They'll have to have personnel and things like that. So we'll allow them some small markup to it.
That's right.
Yeah.
What are the downside and upside of this particular good coin investment?
Okay, so I think that's a good question. I must say that in Africa, as far as I know, Ghana will be the second issuer of a sovereign coin. The only country in Africa that has done that is South Africa. So we studied the South African model a lot. We've also studied other countries that have issued.
How about Zambia? Zambia or Zimbabwe?
Yeah. Well, the framework is quite different.
Yes,
we are not trying to issue a gold-backed currency. That's not what we are doing at all. So I think probably it's a good opportunity for me to
clarify.
This.
Yes.
What we are doing does not change our monetary policy framework. we're still going to be an inflation targeting central bank who is running a flexible exchange rate regime. We are just introducing a gold coin to help Ghanaians, to help residents in Ghana to have other opportunities to invest. And as far as that's concerned, the only country that has done that, and as far back, I don't have the year here, but I think South Africa have had it for decades. It's called the Kruger Run. And then other more mature markets, Canada has issued it, Australia has also issued it, and so forth. So, what your question of what might go wrong?
Yes,
the downside.
So let me talk about the advantages first. I think that it helps deepen our markets, and from the interest we are seeing already, people are really excited about it. But with every new product, there can be some challenges, especially the anti-money laundering part is what we have to be careful about. That is why we want to issue this or want to sell it to people who have a banking relationship, or we can identify a banking relationship. For example, even if you don't have a bank account, but you have a Momo account, and you have a limit that can take the coin, you can buy it through the Momo, because we can establish the identity of who is buying it, and the banks will do the necessary KYC. And now, with every commodity, gold is a precious commodity and can be volatile. So it can go through ups and downs. I think this is the highest I have seen gold, right? 2,600 and something. That's the highest.
Cocoa,
yes. So when we started the domestic gold purchase program, I remember gold was 1,600, 1,600, and within a short time. So if you buy that coin, can you imagine how much you have made, right? But it also means that it can go through periods of down cycle where it can fall. Actually, gold is a good diversifier of your investment portfolio. In other words, to break it down, if you have a gold coin and you have T-bills and you also have some stocks, then you can see that you are well protected.
Now, since we are talking about gold and it's a precious mineral commodity, there's always that element of hoarding. The coin is supposed to be for everybody who has a banking relationship or sort of like a relationship, and in terms of history, how is Bank of Ghana or the central bank going to deal with investors who come in just to buy and hoard and to sort of like control the market?
That's an interesting question. You see, the way I see gold is that when you buy gold, you keep it for a while. I don't know whether that's what you are calling hoarding, but you want to keep it hopefully for a long time so that you can even pass on to the next generation. You see, because it's not something you want to buy and just sell, right? So if people buy the coin and they are keeping it, we don't have a problem with that. And if they want to sell because they need liquidity, then what should happen, or what we expect to happen, is that they'll go to the banks where they bought it, and the banks should be willing to buy it and sell it to the next customer, right? If the bank, for some reason, doesn't want to buy it, say maybe they don't have enough CDs or whatever, the central bank is guaranteeing that we'll buy the gold back and then we'll sell it. So we are guaranteeing the issuance of the coin. We are not guaranteeing the value, but we are guaranteeing liquidity that will stand behind the product. Okay.
Yes.
Right? So that's what we expect to happen. You keep this gold coin, unless you are really broke and you want to. Some coin is what, 2,700. If you have about 10 of those coins and you pass on to your child or something, that's a nice investment to have. So we don't see a problem with the whole.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What is the limits that one must have before he can have access to any of the coin?
Okay, so that is really dynamic. I remember when I did the first interview, I was calculating around 10,000. I was quoted a lot on that. But that is not the idea. The basic thing is that a quarter ounce, which is the smallest coin, will be 2,600 divided by 4. And then multiply it by the applicable Bloomberg rate. Today, the mid rate is, I think, it's around 15.9, something like that. So that's what you should be doing. That is the minimum you need to buy the coin, the quarter ounce coin. But like I said, we also add the charges. So you're going to pay something a little bit more than that. And Bank of Ghana will also add something small so that I can sit here and talk about it and get paid, right? So something very small, a markup to it. That's how banks operate, right? And we have to agree with the banks also on what they also have to add on so that they can have staff deal with this. And even if an investor wants to keep the coin with them, keep custody of the coin, you have to pay something token so that they'll keep the coin for you. Because I think it's better probably to keep the coin in the bank than keeping it at home. Because if you keep it at home, there are certain other risks such as theft that you face.
Has the central bank also thought about this, a situation where I know it's more or less like a competition between gold and the dollar. Maybe that's not the main motive of the central bank, but by doing this, you are actually giving investors an opportunity, maybe not to buy dollars, but to buy gold. So in a situation where the dollar becomes very valuable and there's that, people are now diverting to buy dollars, how is the bank going to deal with those who have the coin and will now want to liquidate it and buy the dollar, which will in turn increase the demand on the dollar against the available supply?
Okay, so the way we see this is that by offering the gold coin, we are giving Ghanaians more avenues to use their cedis, right? We don't expect, we are not saying that because we are issuing the gold coin, people will not want to buy the dollar again. But people will obviously look at all the benefits that their investment will provide, and we are saying that gold is a very reliable, over history, it has shown to be a very reliable asset to have. It helps you to diversify your portfolio. So why would you have cedis and go and buy dollars? That does not give you any increase in value, right? But the gold can, as you've seen, can see even big appreciation, but it's also subject to volatility. Same with the dollar. The dollar doesn't always go up in value. We've seen situations during the crisis, the dollar fell quite a bit. So I think that at the very least, giving Ghanaians more investment avenues should help provide stability, which helps us in achieving our mandate. It also helps in somehow managing our liquidity, because if they use those cedis to go and buy gold, then those cedis will go to a bank and the bank may bring it to us, and then we are mopping cedis out of the system. So it's not the main reason why we are doing this, but it also complements our inflation targeting objectives.
When we look at the government, central bank's policy, good for oil policy, how does this fit in? Is it part of it, or is it another avenue also for Bank of Ghana to ensure citizens have access to investment options? Okay,
so that's a good question. You can see the issuance of the gold coin as part of the domestic gold purchase program, the evolution of the domestic gold purchase program. Mind you, this is gold that we bought from traceable and responsibly mined source that we have refined, and because of the hugely successful domestic gold purchase program, we have the capacity to use some of the refined gold to manufacture the coin. The first set, I think we are using about 7,000 ounces to manufacture. If we didn't have that gold, we couldn't have done that. So see the gold coin issuance as part of the domestic gold purchase program, because we have, I was just telling a group that we've built up our gold reserves quite a bit. So this portion we are using to manufacture the coin is just a small portion, but it's also part of the domestic gold purchase program. And I think I must use this platform to also say that the gold that we are using to refine and manufacture the coin is from traceable and responsibly mined gold. We know which mines are giving us this gold to manufacture the coin.
Now, another question has to do with, you speak about traceability. That's very important. But one other question has to do with Bank of Ghana's ability to also buy more gold, and the fact that the more you buy the gold, the bank will have the gold, but those who are selling the gold to you also have cedis. What do they do with the cedis if they don't want to buy your coin? Are they also going to chase after dollars?
Okay, so that's a good question. So as you can see, in our domestic gold purchase program, our strategy is that we try to mop up all the cedis we've given to buy gold. So we are very aggressive on taking that cedis back. We have instruments to do that. We have Bank of Ghana bills. We call it open market operations. So every week we go out there to take cedis from the system if it is our view that there's excessive cedis that will cause inflation to get out of control. So we're going to continue to do that. It's not just because we have a domestic gold purchase program, but as part of our mandate of price stability, we have a tool to mop liquidity.
But you just cut your attractive rate of 29 to 27. Mm-hmm. How sure are you that you still have that strength to mop up the cedis?
How we do? You see, in determining how attractive interest rates are in a regime, what matters is the real rates. Okay, so you are right. We've reduced the rates from 27% to 29% to 27%. But inflation has also come down. So if you look at, I think inflation just went up a little bit, 21.4. So if you look at the real rates we are offering in our space, it's about what, 6%.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very high. You don't get that in many markets. Actually, if you comb through Africa, you may not even find real rates of 6%. So we believe that if you still invest, even in our open market operations, or you invest in the T-bill markets, you are being offered rates that are real compared to positive real rates compared to where inflation is, and I think that it's a good investment to happen.
In terms of reforms and rebounding of the economy, what strategy would you say the central bank has put in place to ensure this growth we are seeing, these indicators looking favorable, are sustained?
Good question. First of all, as monetary policy, from the monetary policy stance of view, we are monitoring developments very carefully. As your colleague just said, we reduced the policy rate by 200% because we, after looking at the indicators at the last monetary policy committee, the MPC believed that inflation was on the path that we wanted to see, and therefore this was the opportunity to signal that in interest rate reduction. There's going to be another MPC in November, at which the MPC will look at all the dynamics, including the growth trajectory we are seeing, and then take the right decision. But as I told you, we are very firm, or we are very committed to make sure inflation comes down. I think just 2 days, the governor indicated that our outlook for the rest of the year, we believe we will land at about 18%. Okay, so that's really huge improvement. We started last year at 54%, and we're coming down as low as 18%. And we're going to continue to do that. Government under the IMF program is also fiscally consolidating. So you see that even though it's still an election year, you see that government has tried very much to keep within its fiscal targets. So working together between the monetary authorities and the fiscal authorities, I believe that we are on the path to recovery and actually growth. We have not seen the growth we saw in the third quarter in a long time, the second quarter in a very long time, almost 6%. And we believe that if this momentum continues, then even next year we're going to see more growth and trickling down to more jobs for the people of Ghana.
Do you have more gold reserves?
Yes. Gold reserves, actually, what we've done with gold is remarkable. And I think we should brag more about it than we've done. But central banks are very conservative, so we like to, even when we are exceeding in areas, we like to moderate that. But what I can tell you is that before we started the gold reserves, for a long time, I think as far back as 1962, we only had 8.7 tons of gold, and we stayed there. We're a very passive country as far as gold is concerned, even though gold was being mined here and a lot of export. But through the domestic gold purchase program, we've grown our gold reserves to almost 30 tons. Imagine, in just 2.5 years.
So from 8 to 30?
8.7 to almost 30 tons of gold. So that's how much we've added. If we continue on this program, it brings more reserves and gives assurance to investors that Ghana has adequate foreign assets to meet these obligations. Thankfully, we've completed the Eurobond debt restructuring, and it gives us a platform to gain acceptance as far as international investors are concerned. And we right now, international reserves are about 3.4 months import cover, the highest we've seen in a while. And therefore, we are really beginning to rebuild our gold reserves, and you can see that projecting in currency stability not long from now.
Any dollar valuation of this 30
tons of gold
that you have?
I don't have that handy, but we can calculate it, right? 30 tons of gold is about, multiplied by 32,000. 1 ton of gold is 32,000 ounces. So if you do that and you multiply it by 30 tons, you see where you have, but I don't have it handy. I have it somewhere, but I don't remember it.
Maybe last question before we wrap up.
Yes.
We know that you have some debts that are gold collateralized. Is it also going to affect this new investment portfolio and an opportunity to investors and the Bank of Ghana's new direction of buying more gold and the gold-oriented Bank of Ghana currently?
Okay, so I didn't understand the part on debt that are gold collateralized. What is that?
So there are debt that's, you have debt instruments that are debt collateralized. You have some that are cocoa and other minerals, right?
Are there anything like that?
They actually are in their reports, So
I'm not aware of that. If you are talking about swaps, we've done some gold swaps. A gold swap is where you give your gold to a bank, and the bank gives you liquidity over a period of time, and then when it matures, you take back your gold, and then you pay back the dollars that you give. That's called a gold swap. We did some of that, but it's just a small portion. So when I mentioned that we'll build up 30 tons of gold, I did not even add the gold swap. So this is gold.
Great.
We have unencumbered gold reserves of 30 tons, let me say that. But apart from that, we don't have any liabilities that's tied to gold at all.
So the young people of this country, we're looking forward to a prosperous Ghana, hopefully come the next quarter or next year, especially based on the projection that has been given here today. I hope you've enjoyed this session on Beyond the Number. We'll be bringing you same time conversation next week, 5:30 p.m. on the JoyNews channel. And I've been doing this conversation with the Dr. Steve Opata, who is advisor at the Central Bank and is giving us remarkable insights on this particular topic. And my colleague Kofi Agyei has always been with me, and we've been doing this always here for you.
Well, from us, it's a wrap from the Bank of Ghana head office. Thank you very much, Dr. Steve Opata. We are really grateful that you could help us.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm particularly happy with this dialogue. It gives us opportunity to really relate policy to go down with our target, that's eventually Ghanaians, and I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, viewers, see you same time next week. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.